Now, Lil Baby and Drake being posted up in a club with a minor? Well, personally, I don't think that's normal. What's going on with you today, my friend? Thank you for joining me today. Appreciate you. So today we're going to talk about something very highly dysfunctional that I came across. It involves two different rappers. The first one is Drake. That's right, the boy Aubrey is involved in this. And then the second person who's involved is Lil Baby. Been a little while since we talked about Lil Baby. The last time we spoke about Lil Baby, he was kind of struggling to sell tickets for his tour. That started a pretty big conversation regarding if Lil Baby fell off or not. Now that aside, in the last 48 hours, I've came across two different clips. One of them involves Lil Baby in the club with a minor, and then the other one is Drake in the club with the same person. The person in question is an 11-year-old boy who's a young rapper in the industry. Now the 11-year-old rapper, who's actually not like unknown, he's kind of known in certain spaces. He shall, however, remain nameless in his video because, you know, that's what they want me to do. All publicity is good publicity, right? So I'm going to refrain from sharing the name because I don't really think you should even know about this young man. He's a little kid who's presumably being used by the people who are connected to him, who have a vested interest in seeing him succeed so they can make some money out of him. And he's being put on this really big platform where he unfortunately promotes a lot of violence, and he's kind of gaining some traction right now. Now this young rapper the other day, he was seen in this clip with Lil Baby and Drake on another clip, not in a playground or Chuck E. Cheese where he should probably be, but in the club. So I just want to play these two clips for you really quickly because I think they're pretty self-explanatory. So just check them out and then we'll come back after that.
Check them out, Joe.
So if you're looking at the screen, as you could see, we had this 10-year-old young boy in the club surrounded by a bunch of grown men. Lil Baby was of course one of those grown men. The young boy was not only iced up to his neck, but he was kind of flashing a bunch of money, like wads of cash. And then on the second clip, as you guys could see, we had the boy Drake. You know, he was kind of embracing the kid and he had like his arm around him. And as you could clearly see, they're in the club. Like, guys, is this normal? Like a young kid who's 10 years old being surrounded by a bunch of grown men in the club where people are not only drinking alcohol, a lot of people are probably smoking weed. There could even be an older woman somewhere in the cut plotting on making her move, especially when they see a young boy who has a little bit of clout and he's posted up with Lil Baby and Drake. Let's just say that that's a very big possibility. Something we actually don't talk about, but that's another conversation. Like, this entire video to me, I don't know what you think, but this entire video to me just screams dysfunction. Now, we've been having a lot of these types of conversations as of lately, especially this last month. I've had my fair share of smoke for Sexy Red, who we all know was encouraging a bunch of young girls to listen to her very inappropriate and raunchy music. And I think it's ironic how a lot of the people who had a lot of things to say about Sexy Red haven't really said anything about this. Now, don't get me wrong, I am seeing a lot of people kind of coming out and saying, yo, this is weird. Like, Drake, what are you doing? Lil Baby, what are you doing? But then again, I feel like it's not on the same level as when, for example, Sexy Red was encouraging those young girls to listen to her music. And isn't it ironic how as a man, I'm acknowledging that? Because it shouldn't, you know, technically it shouldn't be like that. I should be the one who's trying to sweep what the guys are doing under the rug and then use this as an opportunity to be like, hey, Sexy Red is the problem. Now, I'm telling you this for a reason. I want y'all to know that this is not a woman or man conversation right here. We don't have any kind of wiggle room to be selective when it comes to these types of issues. This is a conversation that's about protecting the innocence of these children, man. And I think as adults, we get so caught up in the man versus woman conversation, we lose sight of why we're even talking about this in the first place. For Sexy Red, she was encouraging these things through the internet, so she was doing it through written form. Now, Lil Baby and Drake, however, they're physically like co-signing this young boy right here. For what reason? I don't really know. Or actually, I do know. They're playing a part in promoting this archetype of rapper, these children rapping about killing, because if some really big names in the industry co-sign this young boy, that gives this young boy a lot of attention, views, and fame. Now, what is that gonna lead to? Well, the young black boys who look like this young boy right here, they now have a real life example of their own representation getting rewarded and praised for talking about violence in his music, and he's being rewarded by the world, the music industry, and his community for all this. And the ultimate prize is he gets to be posted up in a club where he shouldn't be. He should be at Chuck E. Cheese with two extremely popular rappers, Lil Baby and Drake. The ultimate prize is he's gonna make a lot of money from this, and very good for this young boy. But this is one individual, okay? One individual family who's probably gonna experience some kind of generational wealth from the talent that this boy has, because, you know, I listen to his music and he does have a little bit of rapping abilities and he does have a little bit of passion. It is, however, kind of sad that his talent isn't being redirected towards him talking about things that are gonna speak life into the world and his community, and that's the responsibility of the adults around him. But then again, they're probably encouraging this because they're obviously benefiting from it monetarily, because you do have to keep in mind that it's not a child's natural inclination to rap about these things. I mean, just take a look at Bow Wow.
From the CEO to across the street, I'm guaranteed to make everybody happy. I can never turn my back on y'all, cause y'all put me where I'm at, so when you call, I'll be there just like that.
A few moments later.
That was a really good example of a young kid who was using his music in a very positive way. I highly doubt that archetype of young kid rapper would be able to make it to the top in this day and age. I'm sure all these very optimistic people who follow these big hip hop blogs would be in the comments and say stuff like, he's corny, he's whack, mid, corny, ratio. And that's the case because we as a culture, we're very attracted to images of destruction and very repelled by images of positivity and optimism. And this is a part of the programming and conditioning they've been pushing through hip-hop. They've been doing it for a long time with gangster rap, but now it's on a whole nother level because of the internet and the fact that the algorithm is putting these things in front of us. The thing is, there's a lot of people in this world who unfortunately grew up in such dysfunctional environments to the point where when dysfunction is put in front of them, they're not even capable of recognizing it. And I think stories like these and the Sexy Red story that we talked about as well are really good examples of this in real time. How come there are people in this world who are defending things like this? Well, it's because they don't really even know any better. When you get exposed to certain things in your life for long enough of a time, especially in those younger years, those things not only shape the way you view the world, but they also shape how you view those things in relation to yourself. I think specifically in hip hop, since gangster rap is such a normality in the culture and has been since the mid 80s, anything that's a step below killing each other, because that's what gangster rap promotes, is not going to be seen as that extreme. And that's because as a culture, we've been desensitized from all the things that have been put in front of us time and time again. Some of the biggest issues with this: number one, an entire generation of people, specifically black youth, become the victims of the poison the people who look like them are promoting to them. And number two, it leaves a very select group of people rich off of this dysfunction, while the rest of the world have to deal with the repercussions of people following these 9 times out of 10 destructive ways of living. And I think in the end, since there's such a benefit to this, there's going to be less and less people actually pushing back on us and instead joining the other side. Because what's the point of standing behind this kind of rhetoric if, number one, we don't actually see a change? Number two, if people time and time again are getting rewarded for this, that's just going to keep on incentivizing people to join the train of promoting this dysfunction because there is a reward at the end. This video right here that we're covering right now, guys, it's been seen by 28 million people on Twitter. Do you think my video is going to get promoted in the algorithm to 28 million people? Absolutely not. We're lucky if we get to 70,000 people. And now that's amazing. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying. So the spotlight is not on the things that are pushing back against this. It's on the very things that a lot of us are sick of seeing. And you know, it's one thing if adults are doing what they do. It's one thing if Sexy Red and Lil Baby are talking about what they're talking about and they don't try to involve children in their business. Now, it is an issue when they try to involve children in the mix, because then we got to ask, like, wait, what are you trying to do here? Actually, more specific of a question, who are you working for? Because I get it, you make music for grown adults. You talk about what you talk about and you live the way you live because you want to do it as a grown adult. That is your decision to make, and I'm not going to hate on that. But why in the world are children the focal point of what you're doing now? Now, the funny thing is, a lot of these same people, and little secret, right, if you didn't know, a lot of these same people would not want their own children to be subjected to the kind of life that they're pushing, the things that they're promoting in their music, and the very destructive things they're promoting to the youth. Ain't that funny? So they don't want their own little children to be in the club with them, surrounded by a bunch of grown adults who are drinking, smoking, and doing all kinds of things. They don't want their own children to be singing to their dysfunctional records, but they gladly promote those things to our children, little sisters, little cousins, and little brothers. You get what I'm saying? And by the way, this is why it's so important to raise your own damn children and don't leave it up to entertainers. Come on now. And I know that this is true because I've seen so many real life examples of this. Cardi B is a great reference point here, because a few years ago, while Cardi B was on Instagram Live, she was listening to the song WAP featuring Megan Thee Stallion and kind of having a good time just vibing out to the record. And then as soon as her daughter came around, she turned it off like, oh, no, we're not going to listen to this. No. Now, I salute Cardi B for being a great parent. Shout out to her. This is what every parent should do. However, isn't it ironic that she's praised as some kind of role model for young girls, and the same music she's getting glorified for making is the same music she doesn't want her own children to listen to? That speaks volumes not only about Cardi B, but all the other entertainers who operate in the same exact manner. Anyway, this is definitely not normal. Any thoughts on this conversation right here? Before you leave, could you do me a favor and like the video if you enjoyed it? Curious to hear what you have to say about the clip in question. Do you have any thoughts on this conversation that we had? Curious to hear what you have to say, and I'll catch you in the comment section below. But most importantly of all, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. I'm out.